if you're
from the dusty sands of Iraq to the Holy Land shore, we stood tall against the tyrants, settling the score. Flying over the desert, fighting for what's right, waving old glory under that desert night.
Terror's got no place in this world we defend. With our allies in Israel, brothers to the end.
Oh, make America great, like Trump always said. Pro-conservative values from heart to head, and a terror and a commie and a lunacy too. Pro-America, pro-flag, red, white, and true. Standing strong with Israel, hand in hand we fight for freedom and faith under God's own light. Saddam's regime crumbled, we brought the light of day. No more hiding in shadows, we pay freedom's way. Trump knew the deal with walls and gold calls, kept the radicals running, built those embassy walls. Our bond with Israel, unbreakable chain against Hamas and hatred, we weather the rain.
Conservative values from heart to head, and I terror, commie, and that lunacy too. Pro-America, pro-flag, red, white, and true. Standing strong with Israel, hand in hand we fight for freedom and faith under God's own light.
No room for the socialists spinning their lies, or the crazies dividing with their wild-eyed cries. We honor our heroes, the ones who gave all for family, for country, answering the call. Trump led the charge with grit and with grace, keeping our nation in its rightful place. From Baghdad to Jerusalem, the eagle soars high with stars on our banner, touching the sky. We'll never back down, no surrender inside.
Pro-Trump, pro-values, we'll win this fight. Oh, make America great, like Trump always said. Pro-conservative values from heart to head, and our terror and our commie and our lunacy too. Pro-America, pro-flag, red, white, and true. Standing strong with Israel, hand in hand we fight for freedom and faith.
Forever inside. Well, gather round, folks, from the hills to the plains. This here's a tale of a man who broke chains. Donald Trump, the boss, with a heart full of fire, fighting communism, lifting America higher. He took a bullet for us, stood tall in the fray, while socialists scheme to take freedom away. From the White House to the border, he's kicking ass strong, making liberals squirm, 'cause he's right all along. He built that big wall, 400 miles tall, kept the invaders from taking it all. 7 million jobs, economy roaring like thunder, unemployment low, families rising from under. Tax cuts for workers, no tax on your tip, overtime free, no more socialist grips. Energy king drilling all day and night, affordable gas putting green dreams to flight. Oh, Donald Trump, fighting the red tide wave, crushing communism, making America brave. He took a bullet for freedom, bled on that stage. Liberals hate him 'cause he's winning the page. From sea to shining sea, red, white, and blue,
He's kicking ass daily, seeing us through. God bless the USA, land of the free. Trump's our fighter eternity. Space Force Command, AI leading the way. Genesis mission, cancer dying each day. Trade deals with steel, tariffs hitting them hard. No more endless wars, peace in our yard. Serious sanctions lifted, freedom rings loud. Global alliances making us proud. Western Hemisphere strong, security tied. No room for socialists in this patriotic fight. Oh, Donald Trump, fighting the red tide wave. Crushing communism, making America brave. He took a bullet for freedom, bled on that stage. Liberals hate him cause he's winning the page. From sea to shining sea, red, white, and blue. He's kicking ass daily, seeing us through. God bless the USA, land of the free. Trump's our fighter eternity. Minnesota's mess, fraud running wild. Somali scam, stealing billions undefiled. Tampon Tim, dancing, letting it slide. But Trump's calling justice, turning the tide. Feeding fake futures, daycare doors locked. Healthcare highs, Trump's got 'em shot. Nick Shirley's light, shining truth on the scene. Citizen heroes, keeping it clean. Protests ridiculous, anti-law clowns banging pots in the streets, shutting down towns. Ice out for good, now that's chaos they crave. Trump's enforcing order, the brave in the grave. Took a bullet in, but a fist in the air. Fight he roared, showing he cares. Liberals screaming cause he's riding, he's bold. Successful as hell, turning lead into gold. Better get that Nobel for peace. He's the king, bringing freedom worldwide. Hear liberty ring from Iran to the borders, kicking ass every day, handling crises like wildfire, clearing the way. Socialists hating, but truth's on his side. Patriotic powerhouse with God as his guide. Dems in disarray, losing their grip. Working class turn and jumping the ship. High prices fall and confidence high. Trump's Genesis plan touching the sky. No kings, rallies, flop, hypocrisy clear. Free Matero cheers, man, that's queer. Gays for Hamas, what a twisted game. Trump's fighting real evil, calling it by name.
Let's just go ahead and get started here. Hello, everybody. My name's Ian. This is Starship Adventures, and we are live tonight in North Fort Myers. And that's North Fort Myers, Florida. That's Southwest Florida. That's going to be right on the country's pecker there by the bottom left. All right, so there you go. Glad you guys are all here tonight. And I switched a bunch of stuff over, as I told you guys I was going to do, and I'm having all kinds of issues. But the good news is I've got everything up and running right now, and the computer seems to be running a much better. Let's take a look at our total system usage here. Oh, that's much better. See, there was something wrong. There was something wrong with my setup, because all I did was refresh the install. It actually kept my settings, and then I went in and I created a new grid, and I only copied over the 22 items that I needed, and that was it. And And now, remember last night I kept telling you that OBS was running at about 70% of my system resources? It's running at 17% tonight. So we now have our resources back. I'd found the problem. I fixed the problem. And we're all set to go now. We are getting alerts in Israel right now as we speak. Mama, did you hear that? Yeah, and so, yeah, there we go. They're continuing to come in here. I've got 4 views up here of Israel in the upper left corner. All right, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bring Old Glory back down just a little bit so we can see a little bit more of that skyline. Those are 4 different views of the skyline over there. And we're watching to see if we see anything come in. Most of the big stuff is grounded or degraded, but they can do a lot of damage with these drones and stuff. I don't know why the siren thing doesn't work, but I guess it really doesn't matter. I hit test and it works. But I don't know, it's weird. What do you think it is, Mama? She does this every night right when I go on the air. She wants all my attention right now. All right, so tonight we've got just not really a lot going on. I've got a shot of Times Square up there. There's an anti-ICE protest going on in Vancouver, Washington. And as you can see there, there is tens of people. That's a joke we do at work. There's tens of people. Not tens of thousands. Anyway, yeah, there's probably, I don't know, maybe 10 people out there. They're spacing out. They're doing this thing they do now where they all leave their stuff laying around and they all space out about 10 feet apart. I don't know if it's a bad habit they picked up during COVID, or maybe possibly they're trying to make it look like there's more of them than they are. As usual, there's 3 or 4 bystanders. There's 3 or 4 YouTubers. There's a couple of news people out there from the local mainstream media. And then there is, I'm sure, a counter protester or two. And you know how it is. It's just it's a hodgepodge of everybody out there. But the bottom line is there's probably about 10 legit protesters out there. I would be surprised if there was any more than 10 or 15 legitimate protesters out there, with about 10 or 15 others at the most. Anyway, that's in Vancouver, Washington. You know what they're showing? I hate to say this, but do you know what they're showing us at these protests? Any idea? They're showing us that there's not that much interest. They're calling this national, the last 2 Saturdays have been a national day of movement, bowel movement, I guess. A national day of something. Everything's a national day of this, a national day of, what was it? I can't remember what they said. Action. A call for action. That's what they said. It was a call for action. And that was last Saturday and the Saturday before that, both calls for action. Now we got another call for action. We've got a big walkout protest that they're setting up for next month. Plus we got another No Kings coming up. So we got to see what's going on. They like the kings in all these other countries. They just don't like Donald Trump, even though he's not acting like a king. Because if Donald Trump was acting like a king, he'd shut up these protesters once and for all. Let me tell you that right now. All right, so that's kind of how that works. Nobody wants to talk about it, but that's how that works. You know, oh, Donald Trump's a fascist. Really? You think Hitler would have allowed this bullshit? I got news for you guys. All right, you're calling him one thing while you're practicing another. Okay. You're out there doing free speech every day, blocking roads, committing crimes, doing graffiti, throwing rocks and eggs, and doing all this stupid shit. And they're not making mass arrests. They're not going out there and busting heads and you know, doing crazy shit to these people. As a matter of fact, I think the cops have been quite tempered lately. And I think that's because they're wanting these people to show their ass. Show for what they really are. 10 or 15 disgruntled people that like to come out for this little liberals country club get-together thing they do on the side of the road. I wonder if Portland's going to fire up later with the washed-up wedding singer and the dinosaur, the frog, and the rainbow bright. Am I getting that right? Rainbow bright unicorn horse thing. Yeah, and what the hell, you know? No non-binary crown bearers. There we go. There we go. But what if you're 2S and one of your spirits is that you're a king, but the other spirit is that you're a king-hating liberal? I don't know how that works. I guess your spirits would be in conflict at that point, and that would make you spiritually conflicted, I guess. The SAVE Act is only the most important thing. Lead, I think we agree 100% on this. I think we agree 100%. And I blame liberals and I blame conservatives for not getting it through quicker. I think we still got a shot to get this thing through. Look, the reason they're fighting this thing so hard and the reason they're pulling leverage and blackmailing and doing everything they can to get it to not happen is because the left has a handful of things that wins them elections. All right? They're too effed up to win elections straight up. There's 4 or 5 things that win elections for the left, okay? One of them is voter ID fraud and illegals voting, okay? People voting saying, I'm Bob Smith, let me vote, and then you vote. And then there's the other crime of, my name is so-and-so from Iran, and I want to vote. And okay, no problem. Just go get a driver's license and we'll let you vote. That's the other problem. So we got two problems with that and that whole voting thing, and that's a real issue. The other problem we have is gerrymandering. If we could get all of the gerrymandering needs to go away. We need to get back to square districts. Square districts. Let the chips fall as they may. The left has gerrymandered things for so long that they have all these extra congressional seats because of all this gerrymandering. And so now the right's starting to do it. Now the left's doing it some more, and it's turned into a gerrymandering off, if you will. I don't know what else to call it. It's absolutely ridiculous. And then you've also got a phenomenon that happened in some of these states like nursing homes. You know, they've uncovered this. This has been happening for years, and it's still happening today. A nursing home. They'll get 2 or 3 people working at that nursing home in the middle of the night, okay? And they will submit for a mail-in ballot for every person in that nursing home. And then when all those mail-in ballots arrive at the nursing home address, which is their address, they take them out of their mail, and they hold on to those. And then when the election gets closer, they open all those mail-in ballots for the 200 people that are in that nursing home, and they fill them all out, and they just do the president or whatever they care about in it, and that's it. And that's a real problem that we're having right now, is all these old people and dead people too. The same thing's happening with dead people. People file every year. They send a thing. I need one for John Smith, Bill Smith, Robin Smith, and they're all dead. They're all buried. But the family still submits every year to get all 12 of these ballots. And these family members just keep right on voting. I'm telling you, if the left did not have fraud when it comes to elections, they will never win again. And that's why they are fighting so incredibly hard against this. You also have the other several facets of all the fraud. One is just plain up manufacturing of ballots. There was a lot of that where we're close, we're really close, and then 2 suitcases full of ballots show up. You know, there was a lot of that going on all 3 of the last elections. There's just so much of this kind of fraud that goes on. And you've got a lot of people in the country that don't want to identify it on both sides because they feel that it would make our system appear to the world to be false, to not work properly. And so they don't want to do that. So they lie. They just say, yeah, it's all good. It's all good. People on both sides like that. Nobody wants to point it out. Well, that's starting to change. People are starting to say, wait a minute. You know, one of the things that keeps us special is elections. And if our elections are crap, which they have been. There's been 3 or 4 elections in my lifetime that more than likely for president had different outcomes than they should have. But when you've got, like when Barack Obama's running, the fraud was outrageous, and nothing was ever done about it. So, and then Donald Trump got in, and he was stopped at every measure. And so finally he's like, you know what? If we're going to stop this, we got to stop this. So he got back in, and he's put forth the proper legislation. He's done what he's supposed to do. He's done everything he can do up short of the legislation that he filed. And now we've got to get this through. And the reason they're fighting and they're using blackmail tactics, that's why you see every now and then you see a Republican back away. And then they have to go talking back into it again. He's probably being blackmailed. There's a lot of really nasty stuff that goes on up there that you don't know about and will never know about. And so this SAVE Act is so important. You know, and Lead will agree on that too. Probably one of the top 3 things I elected him for was to clean up this election problem. Yeah. It is very, very important. And you don't even need to argue with me. It's probably the most important. I'll go that far. I think this is probably should be his most important agenda item, because if we can't clean up our elections, we'll never have the true voice of the electorate. And I think that's so important. And so, yeah, there you go. I don't like it. I don't like what's going on today. I feel that the elections are fraudulent, and I really, really would like to see us as a country do better. Well, so they found one of the staffers on the New York City Council, one of the council's staff members, was arrested by ICE and is being deported. Now Mom Danny's pissed. He's all mad now. Whatever, dude. Get over it. Quit hiring illegals and you won't have a problem, you dumbass. Oh, my God. See, that's the thing. New York State, New York City of New York, hiring illegals. Why wasn't that found? If this person was an illegal, why wasn't this found in the background check? Didn't they background check this ding-dong before he got his job there? I mean, come on. Yes, you need to be unburdened by what has been, but when it comes to Kamala, I think she needs to be reburdened by what has been. But anyway, okay, and just coming in now, a vessel has been struck by an unknown projectile off the United Arab Emirates coast. Fire is reported on the vessel at this time. Let's see here. The United Kingdom Maritime Trade Operations, UK Metmo, whatever, is warning. Let's see here. Said that the vessel had been struck Wednesday by an unknown projectile off the coast of the UAE. The UK MTO said the incident occurred 11 nautical miles east of Kwarfakan and in the Gulf of Oman, causing a fire on board. Vessels were advised to transit with caution and report any suspicious activity, according to that agency, adding that the incident remains under investigation, and so far there's been no reports of injuries. Fire erupts at a gutter, there's 5 different ways to pronounce it. You pick which one you like. Gas facility after Iranian missile strike. So the Iranians are still lobbing missiles at all their neighbors, even the ones that technically aren't involved in the war. I think it just shows you how 6th century and ignorant these people are that we're dealing with here. Gutter Civil Defense said it was responding to a fire in the Ras Laffan industrial area after Iranian missiles struck the area early Wednesday. No injuries were reported so far. Gutter Energy, the state-owned petroleum company responsible for all oil and gas activities in Gutter, confirmed that a missile attack had taken place on Wednesday. Mama, you're right between me and the news, big girl. Emergency response teams were deployed immediately to contain the resulting fires as extensive damage has been caused. The company said in a statement, all personnel have been accounted for and no casualties have been reported at this time. Oh, let's see. Marcone, who cares what he says? Okay, I don't think there's anything else really there, so let's just go back to here. All right, we're checking the news real quick for you guys. There's not a lot to show you tonight. I went looking. I looked under protest. If you guys find anything, let me know. I'll try to keep an eye on the chat room. But yeah, if you guys find anything, let me know. But the only thing I could find was this anti-ice protest. But it's 6:31 there now. So it should be getting dark very soon. If it doesn't, this might be a loop. But there is a whole like 10 or 15 protesters out there. Ooh, that ought to do it. That ought to do it. Yeah, we all called it Qatar for years. But in the Middle East, it's pronounced, it sounds more like gutter. Like gutter with a K, like gutter. I don't know how to, whatever. It doesn't matter. Guater. Guater. Yeah, I mean, there's all different ways. I have heard, and you know what's funny, when the war was going on over there, the Operation Desert Storm and all that, and then later on, you know, when all that was going on out there, and I was watching this on all the networks, and I had all my TVs stacked up. You know how crazy I am. And I'm watching, and next thing you know, every single person out there is saying that a different way. It's kind of crazy. Yeah. No Quarter, Led Zeppelin. You know, funny enough, that's one of my favorite songs in the whole world. I love No Quarter, Led Zeppelin. That and like Wish You Were Here, Pink Floyd. I've got certain songs from basically my childhood that I absolutely love. Hold on, I think the cat wants out. You want out, baby girl? You want out? Are you going or not? I'll let you right back in, I promise. Hey, buddy. Oh, she spilled her water. That's what it is. She spilled her damn water. She's acting weird. She spilled her water. She ran outside and went over and drank water out of the outside bowl. Yeah, Texaco. There we go. No, I was not at Woodstock. Never been to Woodstock. I drive through Woodstock, Georgia about 3 or 4 times a year. But that doesn't count. Yeah, well. Yeah. I don't know. I've never been good at pronouncing stuff in the Middle East, but I've learned that you just kind of just throw a bunch of consonants at it and sound it out like you know what you're talking about, and nobody will know the difference. So anyway. All right, and yeah, I feel like crap tonight, but I'm here. We're gonna do this for a while. Yeah, I had to go into work early. We're having like this weird issue at work where the satellite when we go from satellite back to local back to satellite, it's cutting off like 1 second of the audio, and so I went in today so we could do some multi-track recording and try to figure out exactly which piece of equipment is failing to do its job properly or may not be programmed right. But yeah, it's been crazy at work. Not too bad this week. The Strait of America. I like that. I do. But I don't want to have to pay to administrate it. So I'd rather call it the Strait of somebody over there. But yeah. All right, earlier today, I released my video. Remember, I told you guys that were on last night. I did a video on the Trump and all. Remember, I did the whole thing here with you guys last night, and it went really well. And so I cut that up. I didn't even have to cut it up. It's all one take. I was very surprised. I didn't do a single edit. It was all one long. It was literally, as they say in Hollywood, we did it in one take. It's famous, kind of like the scene in Porky's in the principal's office. That was one long take, and that's probably my favorite long take in all of Hollywood. Is the principal's office scene from the original Porky's, when Beulah Ballbricker, standing there talking to that poor old principal, and telling her that she wants a lineup of all the boys' peckers so that she can pick out the pecker that she had her hands on. God, I love that movie. So stupid. A tallywhack. He keeps calling it a penis. Then he says, "Can we call it a tallywhacker?" And the other people in the room are all just dying laughing. Most of it was unscripted, and a lot of what they did was not even. It literally just. It was one of those things where the energy was right, the script took it where it needed to be, and then the actors did the rest. It was so good. No, it was not in black and white. No. Porky's. I think it was a 70s movie. I don't know. Let me look. 1981. Writer, director Bob Clark. But yeah, that was written in 91. Porky's. And, you know, for the time, it was considered quite risque because there was a shower scene where you got to see some boobs, and there was even one spot where I think Pee-wee's running down the road and he's naked. And for the time, it was quite explicit. I was very surprised they even showed what they did. Yeah, well, you got to go back and watch it if you haven't seen it. It's a great movie. It's a 1981 movie made about going through school, I guess, in the 50s, about this guy in the next town that owned a bar named Porky's. And I'll just leave it there. It's really a great movie. Meat. Yes, Meat and Pee-wee and Tommy Turner. Yeah. Yeah, what a great movie. They made some remakes, and the second one was worth watching, and then after that, they went downhill pretty quick. But, yeah, it's really good if you guys haven't watched it in a while. It's a lot of fun. But you probably wouldn't watch it with your 12-year-old unless you got the edited version. When I was growing up in 1980, 81 when this came out, this was about the most nudity I'd ever seen in a rated R movie. Now, by today's standards, this is no big deal. It's about an average, middle-of-the-road R movie today. But back when this came out, it had an R rating, and they had to tone it down or they were going to get the single X, which, of course, there really isn't any single X's because it's like the death warrant for movies. So they try to keep everything right at the edge of that R rating. And they did on this one, is in fact keep it right at the edge of that. And but anyway, yeah, good movie. Your mom watched it on video disc. Well, there you go. Smokey and the Bandit. That's one of my favorite movies. That's the movie that had America fall in love with the CB radio. That's the movie that had America fall in love with the Trans Am. And that's the movie that had my father and I both fall in love with Sally Fields. So, one of the few times in my life that my dad and I wanted to do the same chick. Oh my God, yes, I love that movie. I love the cast. I love Burt. I love all of them. They're so great. But honestly, who made the movie for me was Jackie Gleason. I mean, he's the great one. He made that movie. If I'm telling you, if you took Jackie Gleason, and he was only probably what 10% of the movie, but if you took Jackie Gleason out of that movie, we wouldn't even know the name of it today. Even though it was still, Burt Reynolds was great, Sally Fields was amazing, everything else. But I'm telling you, if you took the role of the sheriff or just him out of the movie, it wouldn't work. It would not be the cult classic that it is today, because he makes some pretty racist statements in there, but that's kind of funny for the time, because looking back on it, my favorite line in that movie is when the sheriff, when he's talking to the other sheriff on the radio, and he says, I'm chasing him, I'm trying to get him, he's down the road, whatever he says. And the sheriff comes back and he says, Sheriff, I don't see where that's germane to the conversation. And here's my favorite line. He keys up and he says, what's the goddamn Germans got to do with it? Oh, I've been laughing at that line for 50 freaking years. You guys have no idea. Oh my God. From the very first time when my mom explained it to me, all the way till now, he said germane to the conversation, meaning it's not pertinent. And, but yet he thought he was talking, what's the goddamn Germans got to do with it? Because you got to remember, this movie was made, not like now where it's 80 years from World War II. This movie was made more like 30 years from World War II. So, let's see here. It was that was a some bitch, little tick turd. He had some great lines in that movie. He goes, hey, Daddy, I ain't never moving away from you and Mama. And he goes, oof. Junior, don't you ever threaten your daddy like that again. Or when he's pulling his zipper up in the parking lot and he realizes everybody's standing there watching him, and he's like, get in the car, Junior. And he's like, but Daddy, get in the car, Junior. Or the scene where he runs into the place, and Bandit's sitting there at the bar, and he walks right up next to him, and he's thinking, he orders a sandwich. What did he order? A Diablo, I think it was. I need a Diablo. And he goes out, he asks his sons, he goes, what do you want? He goes, I want fries, Daddy. We ain't got no goddamn time for fries. Oh, that bar is gone. They ripped it down not long after the movie. People have gone right there, right next to there. I don't know if it's in the exact plot. I think it's within a block. They went back and they built that bar back, and and you can now walk in there and it looks the same. Remember, he come walking out with the toilet paper on his glasses? Oh yeah. A possum's pecker. Yep. A little piece of fun. Who played Junior? The guy that played Junior, I don't know his name. He also played Margaret Houlihan's husband in MASH, Donald Penobscot, and he was a professional football player before he got into acting. You were watching 80s commercials last night. God, I hate them in the 80s, but they're kind of fun now. Yeah. Yep. In a very small way, I kind of miss the days of 13 channels, which was really 12 channels because there was no one. You guys know why your TV doesn't have a number one? Yeah? Because when they were assigning frequencies, Russia had assigned frequency number one as the government channel. Yeah. And so what they did was they decided, hey, Let's just not use channel 1 because we don't have a government channel, and they did that on purpose. And for 60 something years now, 70 years, TVs have been made starting at channel 2. Now the new TVs, I believe, have digital channel 1, but I'm not sure if they even have a channel 1 today. I'd have to go check, because when you scan your channels, it scans over 1, so I wouldn't know. I don't know if the channel actually, I wonder if the TV has a channel 1. I've got to figure that out now. But all these years, remember, you had 13 channels, but actually only 12, and those were called VHF. Those were in the 100 megahertz bandwidth. And then you had your U, or your UHF channels. Those were in the 400 megahertz bandwidth. And down here, unfortunately, we had my channel, Wink, was on the VHF, and everything else was on UHF. And depending on where you were, you know, or what kind of antenna you had, you would get one or the other better. I built an antenna on my parents' roof at 12 years old to pick up WTOG 44 out of Tampa, so I could pick up Star Trek Saturday night and Sunday night at 12 a.m. on WTOG 44, Tampa, St. Petersburg, Clearwater. Oh, man. What was their call sign? I can't remember. They had Dr. Paul Bearer. Used to come on and play horrible old movies. Does anybody remember that? 2 all-beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun. I had the shirt, actually. At one time, I had the shirt. It was the words all in a hamburger bun. And the words kind of looked like what it was they were saying, I guess. Where's the beef? That's the second time this week that woman's been mentioned. Where's the beef? There you go. Yeah. And the truth is, Wendy's burgers are no bigger than anybody else's. Where's the beef? My ass. Little square burger. But they're no smaller than any others either. I'm not blaming them. I'm just saying, don't give me the whole where's the beef thing when your beef ain't no bigger than anybody else's beef. Typical men standing around comparing their meat. Anyway, yeah. Oh, my family used to watch wrestling. I wasn't into it as much as them. Back when I started watching it, it was Gordon Soley and the Florida Wrestling Federation with Dusty Rhodes, and I'm trying to think who else. I can't remember any other old timers back there. But yeah, there was all these. I remember it. But it was like regional back then. It was weird. And then ours merged with some other ones, and it finally became WWF at some point. Yes, the stream is a lot smoother tonight. I actually refreshed my install of OBS. I did a lot of cleaning. I cleaned out a lot of hard drive space. I cleaned out my cookies, my cache, my cache. I cleaned out all the extra this and that and the other thing. And I also rebuilt this entire screen that we're using right now. Not quite from the ground up. I did copy over what elements I knew were in good shape. And then I put it back together. So we're on a brand new screen tonight. If I flip back to the other one, it would probably mess things up. So I'm not going to. What I'm going to do within a couple days, when I'm sure I've got everything I need off that old one, I'm going to delete it. I think I just had too much stuff on there. I don't think it's viral or mechanical for sure. I think it was just getting clogged up in the software. I also was having sound card issues, but I think that's all gone away. I know you can still hear the air conditioner a little bit, but other than that, I think that's problem's gone too. I think all that was being caused by whatever was causing the issue on here. So there we go. Abolish ICE. I'll tell you what, tea will never be the same if they abolish ICE. But anyway, is this the last lone protester? I'm holding out. I'm gonna keep protesting until somebody from ICE quits or 5 o'clock because my ride's coming. Hi, Ed. Are you saying? Could you say hi to everybody, Ed? Eddie, Eddie, come here. Come here. Say hi to everybody. They're on the camera right there. You gonna say hi? This is my pet store cat. This is a beautiful cat. He's about 11 years old now, and he's starting to brown. You ever wonder what a gray cat does? You know, the rest of us turn gray when we get old. He's turning brown. It's true. He's been a beautiful steel gray cat his whole life. Last year, we're starting to see brown all around his shoulders and down his back. In the sunlight, you can see brown. He's a beautiful cat, aren't you? Yeah, he's a good one. He's the other one. Him and Mama would probably be the two I would take with me if I ended up leaving earlier than expected. Yeah. What are you doing? That's right. Show your ass. All right. Yep, this is Ed Earl. He's named after the sheriff in Best Little Whorehouse in Texas. Another Burt Reynolds part, actually. So there you go. I mean, just fun trivia all the time. There was so many good movies back then. I'll tell you, kid movies. There's not a lot of kid movies I like. There's a certain kid movie that I have always been in love with, and I don't know why, and that's The Goonies. I have always loved that stupid ass movie, and I don't know what it is. The upper left screen is 4 live shots of 4 different towns in the Middle East. I think you've got Tel Aviv, Jerusalem, Haifa, and I think Beirut. No, well, Daddy's already, it's cold. He's already in the room in there. He wasn't feeling good. He was, I'm not going to say he was near death, but he was in bad shape. And he's coming back. He's feeling good, but now he doesn't want to leave the bedroom anymore. So, yeah, the Goonies are great. Hey, you guys. Yeah, I love the Goonies. I don't know what it is about that stupid movie. You know, the house is still there. You can drive and see it. People live in it. They don't want you to stay long. But you can actually go to the Goondocks and see. Yeah, do you guys remember that's what the place was called, the Goondocks? And you can go there, and I don't know if it's, I don't think it's actually called that, but you can go there, and the house is still there. The field where remember the closed down restaurant where the bad guys were staying? That's gone. The building is gone. It was a facade that was just built for the movie, but it's gone. But you can find that field, and you know where he lined up that rock? I've already watched a video online of a guy that remade that rock and found the spot where he was standing. I thought that was pretty cool. Yep. They have one protester. We're down to one protester. And he is demanding that they abolish ICE immediately. I want you to lay them all off, send them home, and abolish ICE. Good luck, buddy. I tell you what, he stands there too long, he's going to need some of that overreaction ointment for his thighs, because you start getting that liberal rash down there, and it spreads to your balls, and it's bad. Yeah, the gold in the wishing well, Chester Copperpot. Oh, I love that movie. Stupid, freaking dumb movie, but I love it. Hey, Chunk. There was a lot of good movies back then. There was a lot of garbage too, but there was a lot of good movies back then. What are you doing, Ed? What's wrong? Anyway, what else we got going on? Let's see here. Yeah, well, see, that's the problem is most of your European countries just started opening their borders up, just like Biden did 20 years ago, 10 years ago. They remember what happens in Europe happens here 20 years later if we're not careful. And this is exactly what happened. Around 2000, 2005, 2010, all these different countries started opening their borders. They were having more liberal policies, sanctuary cities, all the usual liberal bleeding heart horse shit that ends to a ruined economy and a ruined country. And they did it. And now they're ruined. They're losing their very culture over there. They've got towns over there where the Muslims outnumber the Christians. The Christians are now the minorities. And it's the culture itself is changing because generally speaking, very generally speaking, when large quantities of Muslims move into a Christian area, okay, they're not moving there to become good Christians. They're moving there to take over and run you all off so they can have your houses. And then that whole area, like Dearborn, Michigan, all those houses there, like in Dearborn, they're going to rename all the streets after terrorists. They're going to get all the houses to sell for dirt cheap because nobody wants to buy property there. And then when all your houses are foreclosed on or they've all been bought for dirt cheap and you guys all move out of town, all the Muslims or Somalis or whatever they are, add whatever. You know, you don't see this with most ethnicities. You know, I got friends right here that are Hispanic. They come here. They want our lifestyle. They still got their own culture, but they want our culture. They love it here. They love America. I got Cuban friends right next door. They love America. They love America. They're here to live our culture and keep some of their own as well. That's the attitude you need. You want people that want to come here and take their culture and assimilate it with ours and live a combined culture. There's nothing wrong with that, but you do have to assimilate, okay? You do. And that's the thing with the Somalis and a lot of people in the Middle East and different places like that. A lot of these Iranians that come here, they're not coming here to live the American life. It's a takeover. It's literally a long-term takeover. And you have to look at it that way. And you can see entire towns where the police patch now says police in Arabic. Okay, or in whatever language they're speaking there. Farsi or Sanskrit. I don't know what it is. But the point is whatever it is, it's on their shoulder. It's on the street signs. They've got the American name, and then underneath it, they've got the name in whatever language, and they're renaming the streets after Muslim terrorists. So I mean, this is bad. What's happening in Dearborn is bad. What's happened in Minnesota is bad. And what's happened in Minnesota is happening in 5 or 6 other states really, really bad as well. We just haven't got there yet. It's happening in California, Washington. It's happening in Oregon. And it's probably happening in places like Illinois and possibly even New York and New Jersey and Baltimore, Maryland. I mean, I think this is going on in all these blue nexus locations. And they're literally moving in to take over. They're coming, and nobody wants to say this out loud. Well, damn it, I'm saying it out loud. Okay? They're coming here, and they're not assimilating. Okay? They're coming here to assimilate us. They're the Borg. Okay? Resistance is futile. No, it's not. We have to fight for this. This is our land. This is our territory. Okay? And when they start moving in and taking all the government, what they're doing, they're building leering centers so they can take and get $1 million a year for that one leering center. They only spent $20,000 keeping it open, and most of the rest of that money gets sent back to Somalia. So it not only is it a direct fraud against the people, but then most of that money sent back out of our economy. So it's literally a complete double whammy for the American economy. This is such a bad thing that's going on. We have got to find a way to root all this out. That's why Nick Shirley, the YouTube journalist that went out and broke this wide open, he's out in California right now breaking the fraud out there with Gavin Newsom and all that. This is what needs to happen. We need more of this. We've got to find. I want more arrests. I want more to happen. I want shit to happen. And we gotta knock this shit out. All right. And how do you do that? Well, you do it by legal immigration. Okay. You make every one of these people go through the whole process, just like everybody else did. It ain't fair when we're Sheriff Judd. Are you guys familiar with him? Grady Judd. Sounds like his names are backwards, but they're not. Grady Judd. He's a sheriff down here in Polk County. He's one of the 3 big law and order sheriffs in the United States. He's always on TV. He's always making a big deal. Well, guess what? He came out 2 days ago and said we should do some kind of amnesty. There should be some kind of pathway to citizenship for people that broke in. And I'm like, well, that's it. We're doomed. I mean, if one of our big law enforcement sheriffs, he's obviously a doppelganger or somebody's got to him. We played audio on tonight's show of this jerk talking about how don't call them undocumented in my presence. They're illegal aliens. You call them what they are, they're illegal aliens. And now we've got him a year later saying, well, they need to stop casting such a big net. There should be some path to citizenship for the ones that ain't done nothing wrong. They came here illegally. That's like saying, hey, yeah, he stole your car, but man, he took good care of it. He waxed it. He put good gas in it, right? He took real good care of it, low mileage, everything was good, and he returned it, okay? So, I mean, we're not going to charge him with car theft because, hey, once he stole your car, he was really good to your car. He helped it out, he fixed it when it broke, he took really good care of your car. So we're not going to charge you with stealing it. That's exactly what he's saying. That's what he's saying. How can you be a law enforcement officer, a sheriff, with your guys out right now writing parking tickets? Your guys out right now writing chump-ass rolling through the stop sign tickets. Your guys out right now arresting people for stupid chump misdemeanor, 3rd-degree misdemeanor bullshit. And then stand up behind the podium and say, these lawbreakers over here that aren't even ours, they're not ours, they belong somewhere else. These lawbreakers over here, they should get a pass. Because, once they broke in, they didn't really do anything else. That's like what we do with squatters in some of these states. Well, they broke in. Yeah, it's breaking and entering. It's burglary. But, once they got inside, man, they cleaned the place up. They hotwired the power and got it working again. I mean, they did everything great. It was good, man. They cleaned the glass. It was awesome. Yeah, I mean, they did break in originally, but, I mean, come on. How big a deal is it? They kept the place nice. That's just how stupid this is. Judd, you moron. I can't believe this guy. I had some respect for this guy, right? Because he seemed to be a sheriff that could be really tough and yet still not seem to be overly tyrannical. And I know that's hard. It's hard to draw the line between a tough sheriff and a tyrant. But you can do it. You can be a good, tough sheriff and stay with people's rights and do what's right and talk to the media and be a good sheriff. Or you can be a tyrant. Those are the choices. I thought he bore the balance well. But he has astonished me. Trey, my host, at the big job, he is astonished as well. We're both beside ourselves. Even my call screener got on the air tonight and said, is this an alternate universe? I have no idea. I mean, I kept expecting the evil Grady Judd to come out with the beard like in Star Trek, the alternate universe. Yes, you research it. It's right at the top of the news right now. Am I saying they hate the guy? No. I'm hoping he did come out and try to soften it a little bit today. But he said what he said. I don't believe that there should be a path to citizenship unless you self-deport, and then we'll let you come back once you get everything done. If you allow someone to break in and stay, you can't set that precedence, because then everybody else is going to say, well, you just got to get in there, and then they'll eventually come by and say, oh, God bless you, you're a member of the club now. No. The moment you start naturalizing people, the moment you start legalizing people who came here illegally, the floodgates are back open again. They'll be parachuting in. Are you kidding me? This has to be absolute. We have ways for you to come in. We want to vet you. We want you to come in. We take hundreds of thousands of people a year. We make them citizens. We naturalize them. I'll tell you, if you've ever witnessed a naturalization ceremony, I did one time. I cried. It was so emotional. These people standing there saying the Pledge of Allegiance and singing the national anthem. And I'm watching all these people from other countries, a lot of them don't even speak English, getting their citizenship, becoming a citizen, and they're all crying. They're all emotional. And I watched them singing the Star Spangled Banner like it was theirs, like they owned it. And I'm like, you know what? I wish our own people would feel about this country like these immigrants do right now. I wish that our kids that are that are 18 years old, I wish they could feel what these people feel in their heart just one time. Just one time. Feel what it's like to come from somewhere where you have nothing and come somewhere where all of a sudden life changes for you. Come to a place of opportunity, a place where everything is invented, where everything is created, where everything is available. I mean, that's amazing for people to be able to do that. And I would just like for our own children to feel that just one time, to feel that in their heart just one time, because I don't think they ever do. They stand there in the morning, I pledge allegiance. Those schools that even still do it, because half the schools in this country are not even doing the Pledge of Allegiance. You want to know which ones? Well, just look and see if the county's red or blue. You can figure it out from there. I don't know. I don't know. I think we should bring our kids as a field trip. I think our kids should go and watch one of those naturalization ceremonies. I'd rather them do that than go visit the power plant or go visit the zoo. I would rather them go visit a naturalization ceremony and talk to those kids. Give them a chance to speak to those kids that are getting their citizenship. And what does it feel like? What does it feel like to finally get what all you effers had all along? Yeah, COVID was an absolute huge eye-opener. It opened my eyes to the fact that we're all just a bunch of sheeple. We are all sheeple. I had my free speech stifled when I tried to open my mouth and say what I felt about COVID. You know, we down here, we did 2 weeks to flatten the curve, and then we opened everything back up. And for 2 years, other states, all the businesses going out of business. All the shit going to hell in a handbasket. People living on ramen noodles, living in their home day after day. Nobody will go back to work because they're all lazy now. You guys had to deal with this. We really didn't down here. Our state kept right on going. And you know what? Our death rate from COVID was lower than most blue states. The whole thing was a hoax. It was a bogus. The shots were bogus. The boosters were bogus. The 6 feet to stop the spread was bogus. The masks were completely ineffective and bogus. What do you do? I learned a lot from COVID. I had the federal government. I work at a company that has more than 50 employees. And the federal government at one point had sent my company a mandate that they had to get, all of us had to get the shot because we had 50 or more people working there. The entire radio department was walking. We were all walking. And of course, our governor and everybody else made that go away. Yeah, 3 years of totalitarianism in Washington State. Yes. Yeah, there was a bunch of others too. California, Oregon, Michigan, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Maryland, D.C. Yeah, it was bad. And then there was a lot of other middle of the road states like Virginia and places like that where they were kind of open. They didn't go quite as rough, but it was still pretty bad. Um, yeah, we used to wear them. They ask us. We really never had like mandatory mask bans down here. But they asked us. They asked the entire population, please wear a mask if you're out or if you're with other people, and we did. But we never had that stupid shit. You know, in New York, they would make people wait 2 or 3 hours to take the elevator up to their room. Why? Because you could only ride in the elevator with 2 other people. So what they would do, it's cold outside, it's snowing. So what they would do is make 200 people cram into the lobby so that we didn't put more than 2 people at a time in the elevator. It's completely stupid. Completely stupid. And while they had all those people stacked up in the lobby, the disease was going around. So many times they tried to do things to make things better, and they ended up making it worse. They made us all hypochondriacs. They told us at one point that it lives on surfaces for days, then weeks, then hours, and then it doesn't live on surfaces at all. The misinformation was disgusting. That Fauci guy should spend the rest of his life in prison. The power tripping, I can't believe it. I hope, and I'm not even happy with the way it went down with Trump either. You know, Trump started the whole thing. Now he was sold a bill of goods on the whole warp speed thing. But I can't mention this whole thing without mentioning that I'm not really happy with the way the first year went either. It's obviously better than the rest of it, but anyway, there's an attack coming in Israel. Either an attack or they see something. Let me see. All right, anyway. Yeah, COVID was probably one of the largest hoaxes ever perpetrated. Was it a real thing? Yes, sure it was. However, the reaction to it was completely wrong. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I never got the jab. None of us down at radio ever got the jab. Nope. And I got COVID. I got COVID 3 times. I got it just 4 or 5 months ago. Some of you guys might even remember that. And I got it back in the heat of it. And I was down for a week. I was out of work for almost 2 weeks. And then I got it a couple years later. I was out of work for a week. But yeah, it is what it is. You get it, you toughen up from it. You get it, you build antibodies. There's a reason why we get sick. We get sick because our body is learning how to deal with another illness. Yeah, peer pressure is bad, dude. Especially with liberals, because they'll make you feel stupid. They'll call you names. They'll do everything. All right, I'm looking at this protest now. I still see 2 people with signs and then about 5 YouTubers. There's more of those stupid scooter things. They tried that here. They're doing it now. They got some company that's come in. They brought in 100 of these scooters. They've got them parked all over downtown in these little charging stations. And they're already starting to disappear. People are already getting run over on them. People are already being accused of driving them all over the place. And it's just a real mess. I don't know what it is about liberals. They can't take the responsibility to own a car. I've always owned a car. 16 years old, I bought a car. I've had a car ever since. I would never go a day without owning a car. You know what they spend on public transportation in this county? I'll tell you what, I'm going to tell you. Because I did the breakdown on this a while back. All right, let's see. Let's just put it in here and Grok. I'm learning with Grok. You can just pretty much put anything. I told you guys a little tip the other day. I was trying to figure out how to switch my hunter log on my POTA, which is an amateur radio thing, and I wanted to copy my hunter log and make it into like a Cabriello file or an ADIF. And I kept trying to explain to the AI what to do, and it couldn't figure it out. So I went to Grok and I said, Grok, dude, help me out. Tell me what I got to do. I'm trying really hard and I can't get this to work. And Grok comes back, dude, because we call each other dude. He said, dude, you're overthinking this. Just don't tell it what to do. Tell it what you want the result to look like. That's it. Let it figure out how to do it. So I switched back over to my Google AI Studio and I typed in 2 lines of text. I need you to take whatever I paste in, find the necessary elements, and then make those into the elements necessary in the right order, in the right time format and everything, into an ADIF file. And I said, resource the internet to find out how to make these things. Boom, and I hit enter. 2 minutes later, I was converting my files. I was like, oh my God, it works. I was freaking out. Yeah, Victor, don't hold your breath. It'll be a bunch of woke shit. I have no faith at all. They run Star Trek. They've run so many other shows lately. I've talked to several people that have been watching that new Magnum PI. They say it's terrible. I don't have any faith that they're going to rework any good shows. Yes, Dispatch. I rebuilt the grid. I didn't scram the entire program. What I did at first was I did a repair install so that way I could keep all my own files, and it worked. And then once I did the repair install, I went in and built a new grid, taking only the parts that I absolutely needed and making a brand new one. And so between all of that, plus cleaning out my hard drive and cookies and cache and cleaning out all the bullshit and using CCleaner to completely clean my machine out, between all of that, yes, I'm good now. And the really cool thing, let me check it again, because I've been checking this through the evening here. I remember I was using 72%, 68, 75% of my system resources for OBS Studio, right? Remember that? I told you guys that by running all these videos, I was using 70% of my resources. It's using 12% right now. 12. So something major was wrong. So now I don't have to worry about that no more. It's running 12%. I'm currently using 28% of my CPU, 88% of my memory. My disk is being used at 2%, and my network is being used at 2%. All right, let's do a little. Let's have a little fun here. On the computer that I'm using right now, I'm going to run a speed test. Now, this is on the computer I'm using, and I'm running a full broadcast right now. So this also includes my internal bandwidth limitations as well. I happen to know that if I ran this right now on my laptop, it would be over 1 gig up and over 1 gig down. But I like to run it on here because this shows me what I got left. And you can see there, look at my upload. I'm sending this video to YouTube, and even internally I still have 150 to 200 gigabits up. That's a great upload speed. Now, if I wasn't live on the same computer, I'd have 1 gigabit up, 1 gigabit down. So, but yeah, there you go. There's all my stats. Not a bad speed test, considering, like I said, I'm on the computer I'm doing the speed test on. That's pretty important. Normally they would tell you never to do a speed test if you're already using the computer for something else. I'm already using it for a lot of other things. BN, I've never heard of a conspiracy as to why they use certain music. But yeah, you're right. Picard had a reverence, I believe, for Mozart or Brahms or both. And you're right. They did go back to those two artists the most, more than Beethoven. As a matter of fact, they're both Mozart and Brahms are mentioned in a number of episodes. You're right. The more I think about it. I used to like Tucker Carlson too. I'm not going to say I hate him or anything, but I'm no longer interested in finding his channel and watching him. I don't know why sometimes I think people think, hey, I'm out on my own now. I'm going to be contrarian. I will admit he was doing that before he left. As a matter of fact, that might be part of the reason why he's no longer with Fox. He was starting to take some pretty strange opinions on stuff. But I'll tell you one thing that's happened to every one of these people. I've been listening to that SARnet, and every day, people are screwing with these people on here, and I love it. It's hilarious. Every day, somebody will go on here and start just being funny on the radio, and they'll come on immediately. That's the Palm Beach repeater. Shut down the Palm Beach repeater. And next thing you know, they shut down the Palm Beach repeater. There was the other day they had like 12 repeaters shut off. I'm like, it's just people playing around with the radio. There's no hurricane right now. Quit being dicks. I just ham radio people frustrate the shit out of me. They're all, a lot of them are a bunch of ego trippers. I don't know that Tucker turned. It's almost like he just don't agree with anybody. I mean, he didn't turn into a leftist or anything. But that's the kind of the same thing I'm looking at down here with Grady Judd. You know what it reminds me of? The movie They Live. You guys remember the movie They Live? With Rowdy Roddy Piper? Now, you want to talk about a cult classic that if you haven't seen, you've got to see? That's it right there. They Live. It's a cult classic, and it's an amazing movie. It reminds me because what they did in They Live was the aliens were slowly replacing us out. You know, as the storyline is in a lot of different things, they were slowly replacing us out, and they were, as they replace us out, there would be an alien basically that would know everything they needed to know to stand in for us, basically, and so that was kind of a neat storyline. But what makes it a great movie is it truly is a B movie. But yet it's a really well written movie. So that kind of screwed people up, because you're right, it is such a well written movie. But anyway, it's a John Carpenter's movie, an earlier one, but it's called They Live, and there's Rowdy Roddy Piper on the front there. You can see the aliens in the background. He gets a special pair of glasses, and when he puts the glasses on, he can see the aliens for what they really are, and he can see that all the signs actually say different things than what he thought they said. And it's really a cool movie. The reason that this movie's been brought up a lot recently is because certain people, like Grady Judd, the sheriff that I talked about a few minutes ago, they're acting like a totally different person. It's like, are you being blackmailed, dude? Did they got naked pictures of your wife or something? What's going on? Yeah, I like Roddy Piper. He's cool. I was never a big wrestling guy, but I liked old Hulk Hogan, Macho Man. There was a lot of really neat, crazy guys that were in wrestling, and I had a respect for all them. But yeah, They Live. Great movie. If you guys have never seen it, that's one I definitely recommend. It is a B movie, which all that really means is you just have to remember that it's not going to be a cinematic masterpiece, but it's well written and it's done good, and I think you'll like it. All right, so let's put this in perspective here. Okay, so Lee County last year has approximately 861,000 people living here. Okay? And they, in their last budget, they spent $65 million. So if you take the total number, and you add it all up, I pay $67.36 a year for public transportation that I don't use. Nobody in my family uses it. Nobody I know uses it. In fact, only about 2% of our population ever get on it. Yet I'm paying for it myself. I'm paying $67.36. Now, when you go and you look at the total number of riders on the system, when you look at it, there's a total number of, 8,000, 10,000 riders on the system. When you start doing the numbers and you start crunching it, I could buy every person that rides the bus a car and put gas in it for a year and pay for insurance for 1 year. And then next year I could just re-up it all again and keep it going. So in other words, what we're spending on public transportation, I could literally buy a $7,000 used car and give it to each one of these people. Give it to them with insurance and gas for a year. And it would cost the same as all of those buses, all of those employees, all of that diesel fuel, all of those big batteries, all of that bullshit, all of the everything they have to spend, the insurance, all the wrecks and crashes every year, the suits, the litigations. When you start looking at it, we spend $58 million, and we're only servicing 861,000 people. And each one of us has to pay almost $70 a year for a service that we don't use. What's up with that? How is that fair for me? It's not. That's the bottom line. Which means every month I'm paying $6 a month. I pay $6 a month every month to have buses on the road that are just blocking my way. A bus that I would never ride, that I have never rode, and I know nothing about other than it's in my frickin' way every day, stopping in front of me with the blinking lights on, stopping right in the middle of the GD road, blocking traffic up for miles. I'm telling you, those buses do more harm than good. If you just gave the people cars and gas and insurance, do it. It's cheaper than paying for all these buses. They could buy buses for $260,000, but they chose to buy $460,000 buses because they wanted the battery-powered ones. Oh, and those burned up, so now they got the hybrid ones. It's stupid. Yeah, we're same thing down here. The riders only pay for 20%. The riders only pay for about, not quite, but almost 20%. And that's what I want them to do. And another thing, they drive these huge, big, square buses. The biggest bus you can buy that doesn't articulate, okay? And they're driving these things around. There's never more than 5 or 6 people on them, ever. You could easily accomplish the same thing with an airport transit bus. And those airport transit buses are only $80,000 a piece, brand new. 80, 90,000 bucks. You can have a nice airport transit vehicle and go send that around to pick people up and move them around. This is ridiculous. Spending $650,000 on a bus and then charging people 75 cents or $1 to get on. It's like that doesn't pay for nothing. That ride costs the taxpayers $5 and it costs the rider $1. And here's the ironic part. The people riding the bus are generally in the lower class. They're the people paying the least amount of taxes. So the people that pay the most for the buses are using them the least. And the people that pay for the least amount of buses are actually using them the most. It's not sustainable. It's not sustainable. You can't do it like this. This public transit's a joke. Gavin Newsom and the train from nowhere. Go look that one up. Oh my God. The train to nowhere. Gavin Newsom's train to nowhere. They bought some land. They put down some track. They've bought some different things. Not a single rider has ever rode on that system, and it's been going on for 6 or 7 years. It's just not going to be anything. And now they're talking. They're talking about it's. They're just going to suspend it. It's going to fold it up. And all that work and all that billions of dollars they've spent already, gone, lost investment. You know, government shouldn't be involved in things like transportation. They shouldn't. The private sector should take care of that. The government should not be involved in transportation other than police, fire, and EMS transporting people to the hospital. Other than that, the government should not be involved at all in transportation. The government shouldn't be involved in sports either. I don't mind the government providing the ball fields for Little League. I have no problem with that. Okay? But I'm talking about down here, we've got these training camps down here. The Red Sox came down here 30 years ago, said, build us a stadium and we'll come down. They made us build this mini Fenway Stadium. We didn't have the money for it. They bent us over backwards. Then once we got it built, they wouldn't let us even let anybody else in there unless they were using it. They were the only people that could play in that stadium. So for 20 years, that stadium sat there only being used 5 or 6 weeks a year during spring training. And the rest of the time, it sat there with the gates locked because those pompous prick Red Sox players would not let us use that field for anything else but when they were in town. Okay? And then one day they walk in, this building is only not even halfway through its life. It's a third of its way through its life. They walk in and say, we don't like that stadium no more. We want out in the country a little more. We want bigger grounds. We want a much bigger stadium. We want all this. And they're like, we can't do that. We just built you this one 18 years ago. And they're like, well, that's fine. We'll go to Sarasota, kiss our ass. And so Lee County, of course, bends over backwards and says, all right, we'll build it. And they went and found the money and they built this stadium, this millions and tens and tens and tens of millions of dollars on a stadium. And then the Red Sox get all the money from it and the county gets screwed. It's absolutely ridiculous. And then they won't let us use it for anything unless they're in town. There's very few things we can use it for. It sits there part of the year not being used at all. It's absolutely ridiculous. And now they came up last year and said, hey, the chairs are all sun rotting. Really? Nobody thought to cover them. So the chairs are sun rotted. So now what do we got to do? We got to replace the chairs. Good, have the goddamn Red Sox replace the chairs. Why can't we have them replace? Why do we have to replace the chairs? Nope, we had to replace the chairs. My tax money bought brand new seats to put in a stadium that I've never been to. Nobody in my family's ever been to, nobody I work with has ever been to, and nobody I know in this town has ever been to. They get 500 people, 1,000 people show up for these stupid spring training games. It's not worth it. It's a waste. And it goes on year after year after year. Why? Because our county commissioners, they want the prestige of being a training ground for a national MLB team. I put forth today that baseball is dead. It's a dead sport. It literally lives on its own life support system. Let me tell you something. Here's an example. About 7 years ago, this is 7 years ago, not yesterday, 6 or 7 years ago, a buddy of mine, my boss at work actually, no longer there, thank God, came to me and said, hey, I got tickets to a Florida Marlins game over in Miami, and I got as many tickets as we need. We've got a press box, or a party box, or whatever they call those things, a juice box, I don't know. And so he said, why don't you and your old lady come up? So I asked Carlotta if she wanted to go. She's like, yeah, let's go. So we met him down there. We got on this bus. We rode over to the Marlins game. It was kind of fun. Nice big coach bus, about a 3-hour drive over to the stadium. We got off, went in as a group, went up to our press box. They had food, they had alcohol, they had drinks, they had everything you could want. And it was a lot of fun. It was sponsored by one of our sponsors at the station, and they invited us to go, and I worked at the station. So we went, okay? I get there, and I was impressed. The press box was wonderful. Everybody was having a good time. Everybody was having a good time. We were joking, we were playing music and everything else. At some point, I realized the ball game was going on. No one in our box. There was 45 people in our box. Everybody that came over on that bus, there was probably 35 people, I guess about 35. There was some that drove themselves. We're all there, and we're all up there, and we're having a great time. And I walked over to the guy, and I said, hey, Michael, the game started. He's like, yeah. He goes, nobody pays attention to that shit. I'm like, what? And so I walk out. There's like these big glass doors that were kind of open. And I walked out into what's kind of outside. It's a kind of indoor, kind of outdoor stadium. I walked into what's kind of the actual, there's like 5 rows out in front of your press box. So you actually have regular seats right there where you can sit outside your press box where you're like watching the game. So Carlotta and I go sit out there, and we're watching the game, and I'm looking around, and I'm like, there's not 500 people at this stadium. And I look up at the press boxes, there's 3 of them lit up. I'm like, how does all this survive? Oh, well, the big games, there's some big games every year where they almost fill this place and stuff. But I'm like, but this is a regular season game. This is a regular season game. And there ain't 500 people there. And they sat them all in one section, which looked really weird. And I asked him, I said, why do they sit them all in one section like that? And they said 2 reasons. One, because that way they need less security. But number 2, when they do the tight shots of the audience, they'll keep taking different angles of that same square. And that way it looks like the stadium's full. And so sure enough, later on, they did the kissing cam. And they zoomed in 3 different times. And all 3 zooms were 3 different cameras zooming into the same 400 people. And I'm like, this sport's dead. This is the minor leagues. This sport's dead. And, this was a minor league game. I also know I've never been to a spring training game here, but sometimes there's only 1,000 people that show up. It's not a big, huge thing. And so I'm starting to wonder, what is baseball dead? Is it really dead? I've never really enjoyed it. I don't like sports at all, generally. I watched football for a time because I really got into it. Once I got into it and I had a bunch of friends into it, it was fun. But I can't watch NFL. The officiating is so crooked. They literally plan who's going to win the games, and I can't, especially as you get into the playoffs, and I can't watch something that's that corrupt. If I want to watch something that's that corrupt, I'll watch World Wrestling Federation. At least they're corrupt and they admit it. The Dolphins, yeah. Dolphin Stadium is 2 hours and 20 minutes to my southeast, and Tampa Bay Bucks Stadium is about 2 hours and 10 minutes to my northwest. So yeah, I'm right between the two of the three big teams down here, but I don't care. I don't get into it. Yeah. Yep. And that's where a lot of times people are always like, well, they're making they're making decent calls tonight. Yeah, but look at the ball spots. A lot of times where they spot that ball makes all the difference in the world. 2 or 3 bad spots during a game, and you can change the tide of an entire game. Yeah. It's crooked as shit. And once you have the epiphany that it's just literally rigged. I watched the Saints. I got a family member that likes the Saints. My nephew, he likes the Saints. That's his team. He's actually gone to New Orleans and watched them play a couple times. And about 3 or 4 years ago, they were in the playoffs. This was the last NFL game I watched. And they literally threw that game. The team, when they all walked in there, the referees knew in their head which team had to win. The Saints had to lose. And I watched 7, 8, 9 really bad calls in a row by the referee, all against the same team. That's it. Look, you can't watch something like that as a logical thinking mind. Now, a lot of people, they don't want to be logical. They want to be, either they want things to be normal or they want to be impulsive, but they don't necessarily want to be logical. I want to be logical. I want to look at this thing logically. And when I look at NFL logically, I look at a scam for money. Yes. As much as $1 billion. Deploribus. In like the Super Bowl, 3 points in the Super Bowl could mean $1 billion switches hands, one way or the other. So yeah, it's huge. It's incredibly huge. Root beer from work. We have a Coke machine at work. My work provides sodas and coffee and things like that for free. And when the Coke's out, I have to get Mountain Dew, or I have to get root beer because they don't have Mountain Dew. And the problem is, I'll sit here and drink root beer. I'll make 2 different ones. One when I get been working a little while, I'll make one. Then I'll make another one before I head home. I've been drinking root beer for 3 or 4 hours now. There's one thing about root beer that's important that you may not know. It doesn't have caffeine. What a ripoff. It really pisses me off every time I drink root beer or orange soda. It always kind of shocks me how I'm getting ripped off. I mean, I'm paying the same price as Coke, but I'm not getting the caffeine. It's like I'm getting ripped off. No, I do not fish. I don't like fishing. In fact, I really don't like fishing. My parents and my brother used to love fishing. My dad always owned boats. We used to go camp on Lake Okeechobee at Okatani and Moorhaven, and we would put the boat in at dawn, go out and fish for 3 hours, come back, hang around the campground all day, swim in the pool, do whatever we're gonna do, and then about 4:30 in the afternoon, we would get back out there on the boat again, and we'd fish the last 2 hours of the day, and then we would head in with the lights on right after dark. And I never fished. I never had a desire to put the hook in the water. But you know what I did do? Everything else. Everything else. If we had a radio, if we had the electric kicker, I ran that. I drove the boat a lot of times. I set up and the lights, the spotlights, all the extra equipment, the safety stuff. It was all about me. And my family had to do nothing but just fish. They loved it. But I didn't fish. So I took care of everything else but the fishing. I don't like the flavor of RC cola. We call it roach cola down here. I don't know if that's a standard thing, but I know people that like RC cola. There's nothing wrong with it. I personally don't like the flavor. I'll tell you something. It tastes a lot like Czech cola from Winn-Dixie. It tastes a lot like the Publix cola. It tastes a lot like the Walmart cola. I don't drink any of them. It's like if I'm gonna drink a generic, I have to drink the Mountain Dew, the Mountain Lightning or the Mountain Thunder or whatever it's called. The Mountain Dew generics are actually pretty good. The cola generics are bad. I don't know. I can't drink them. When it comes to cola, it's either real Coke or real Pepsi or forget it. I don't drink it. But when it comes to Mountain Dew, I'll drink just about any generic equivalent. That's why I drink Mountain Dew. 90% of the time I drink Mountain Dew, but it's Mountain Lightning. The reason I do it, it's the only soda that you can drink warm. No matter what shape it's in, flat, room temperature, you can still drink it. It's no biggie. You can't do that with Coke. It turns into turpentine. I can't stand it. I remember Jolt. You got 6 kitties? I got you beat. I have 6, like, mostly indoor, my kitties, and then I've got 4 or 5 more that I take care of out in the yard. I'm not a big Dr. Pepper fan. I'm not even really a big root beer fan. I really just like Mountain Dew and cola. Yeah, I loved my parents fishing. I loved my brother. My brother loves it to this day. He lives out on a barrier island that he has to take a boat to. My whole family lives out there. They're mariners. They love it. My one nephew owns a boat, and he does all the transportation for the 100 houses on this island. He brings over all the couches and whatever you need, supplies, water. He brings you whatever you need, and his wife, she cleans and takes care of all the bed and breakfasts out there and shows people in and locks that, makes great money doing that. And then my other nephew cleans the pools out there. And my brother does a lot of the plumbing out there. My sister-in-law, she works out there. She does the bed and breakfast stuff. And they all work on a barrier island and they all go fishing. Weekly, they're all out saltwater fishing. They love it. My dad loved fishing, lived for fishing. My mom still to this day says she'd love to go back fishing sometime. I'm a science kid. It was never my thing. I wanted nothing to do with smelly fish and anything else. I didn't eat them. I didn't catch them. So I became a facilitator. I like facilitating, whether I'm hosting a party or I'm driving the boat. I'm a facilitator. That's what I do. Even this show, if you look at it, my job here is a facilitator. I try to show you the best shots that I can, and I facilitate the best show that I can. It's kind of the same thing. And so I've always been this way. When I was in school, I never participated in dances. I never participated in anything. You know why? I was working it. I volunteered for everything on the back end. I was making drinks. I was cooking grilled cheese sandwiches. I was packing and moving. I was the kid that did this and the guy that did that because I didn't want to be a participant. I would much rather be, a worker or a host or someone that's busy doing something. I've never wanted to be the guy that's at the event. I've always wanted to be the guy that's doing the event or working the event or helping at the event. My fire department had the Lee County Civic Center in my fire department. I've been to probably 500 concerts at that place in 17 years, 18 years. And I loved it. Do you know how many concerts I went there and watched as a onlooker, as a participant, as a ticket holder? 6. 5 or 6. And I can even tell you the first one was Kenny Rogers. I went with my mom and dad. I was like 12. First time I ever saw a laser with my own eyes. It was green. They were bouncing it around off mirrors. It was pretty cool. And then, boy, there was some good shows out there over the years. Yeah. Yeah, I have no negative feelings about fishing. It's just not something I do. As a matter of fact, I'll sit there while you're fishing and we'll just hang out. I don't care, as long as you don't yell at me for being too noisy. Um, all right, so let's see what else is going on real quick here. All right, the latest from spaceweather.com, and then there was 2. NOAA's latest forecast model predicts 2 coronal mass ejection impacts this week. The first is on March 19th, which is tomorrow night, and the second will be on the 21st. The timing of the double blow is perfect for amplification by the Russell-McPherson effect, which is an effect that happens each year right around the equinoxes, which boosts storms that happen around the vernal equinox. Okay, so moderately strong G2 class geomagnetic storms are possible every day for the next 3 days. And G2 can bring it down into the upper tier of the United States. So we're going to keep an eye on this. And the other thing I wanted to mention is, as I did mention it briefly last night, as of today, there is now 10,000 in service Starlink satellites. That's a little crazy when you think about it. Just a little wee bit crazy. There you go, Matt. I don't play golf either. I'm like you. I'm going to retire. What am I going to do? I mean, I'm going to be a ham radio guy and do YouTube because I don't do any of the other shit. I even have a hard time just sitting on the porch and relaxing. Yeah, if you ever got into saltwater fishing, it is kind of weird to go back and try freshwater fishing, especially like down here in Florida. The fish in our lakes just don't get that big. They're just full grown. They're like this, you know. But yeah, if you're not a size queen, I guess it's cool. Um, All right, well, let's just do a quick reset here. We're coming up on 11 o'clock, so I'm going to start taking final comments in the room. Since there's nothing going on tonight, I'm going to go ahead and go off about on time. I don't mind staying when there's something going on, but there is nothing going on tonight, so I'm going to go and hit it. Um, Yeah, Dreadnought, I do too. I like working on old stuff. With me, it's mostly electronics, old radios. I've got 3 old repeaters, VHF repeater systems that I want to get going. I've got a bunch of neat stuff here that I've got basically that I'm storing in air conditioning here so that it stays good. But I eventually want to get some of this old equipment back on the air. I've got a lot of old radios and stuff. I love this stuff. I love tinkering. I find though that since I started doing this show, I'm working. I work 6 hours a day, and I 5 hours, well, about 5.5 hours a day, and I've got a 1 hour drive to work and a 1 hour drive from work. Plus, I produce this show with 1 hour of show prep, if I'm lucky, and 2 or 3 hours of show. So it makes for a very long day. Chevy Impala. I had a buddy who had a Chevy Impala. You want to hear something funny? My sheriff's department, many years ago, before I was an Explorer Scout, I'm talking back in the mid '80s, early '80s. They started buying a bunch of those Malibus, and they had the 351s in them. And these things would sit there and just squall the frickin' tires, even on propane. We were running them on propane, and these things were still squirrels, man. They would get up and run. And then they switched to the Grand Furies. They went to the Plymouth Grand Furies. And although the Plymouth Grand Furies were a bigger, nicer car, they had a little bit nicer interior. They kind of looked more like police cars. But man, those Malibus could run circles around those Grand Furies. And of course, then about 5 years later, they switched over to the Diplomats, which were the exact same thing as the Grand Furies. And then we ran on those until they quit making them, and we went to the Ford Crown Victorias. And in '92 was when they first changed the Crown Victoria body style over to that rounded look. I remember the first night I went into work. I had only been a cop a short time. I went into work, and one of those brand new cop cars was sitting right out in front of the substation. And I pulled up, and I'm like, what is that ugly ass thing? Is this a joke? It was all striped out with lights on the top. I'm like, is this some kind of joke? Look at that piece of shit. And we all thought it was the absolute ugliest car in the world. Who would have known that 6 months later, every cop car looks like a Crown Victoria? You know what I mean? It wasn't 3-4 years later, everybody was driving a Crown Victoria, the newer ones, the rounded ones, and that's what everybody's looked like. It's kind of weird how that happens. And of course, now it's the Explorers. All the guys want the Explorers because they don't make the Crown Vics anymore. Why would Ford quit making the Crown Vics? I don't know. But they do make a police package Ford Taurus now. The Ford Taurus, yeah, fairly fast, but nothing to write home about. And then they make the Ford Explorer. So you have two choices when it comes to police cars, the Ford Explorer or the Ford Taurus. So what they're doing here is all the road guys are going in Explorers, and the supervisors, a certain rank up, you get to choose. And then like all the agents and all the detectives and all the people that do odd jobs and things like that, they all drive the little Tauruses. Yeah, let me tell you what, the Taurus, or I'm sorry, the Crown Vic, the 93 through 98 was about the fastest years. They started getting a little slower after that. The 92, which was the first year, had lots of problems. Lots of problems. They overheating. They changed the grill design after 92. Look, when you're in public safety, you know everything there is to know about cop cars. Of course, all my information's 30 years old now. There you go. There you go. I drive a 2011 Hyundai Sonata. So yeah, or 2013 Hyundai Sonata, I think. Regardless, it's about 13, 14 years old, and I take good care of it. She takes good care of me. You know what? I got this thing. I got it for $5,000, but it was a good deal because it only had 150,000 miles on it. Now I want you to think about for a 13-plus-year-old car, 150,000 miles. That is extremely low mileage. So that's kind of why I bought this one, because it was a year or two older than I really wanted, but man, the mileage was good. I figured I was going to buy something with 250,000 miles on it. This thing only now has 165,000 miles on it. So it's like it literally, by today's standards, it's only halfway through its life. Dodge Caravan. I have. Let's see, what is it? I have a 2008 Dodge Caravan, gold. That ugly gold they used to paint them. Sitting out in my yard. It runs. Everything's good with it. I just don't know what we're going to end up doing with it. It's kind of a spare right now. It's not in great shape, though. We're just keeping it like as a spare car right now. Yeah, and I want to show you guys one more thing before we go tonight, since this just my little group in here tonight. I want to show you guys something. I tried to get AI to help me with my van plans the other day. And you guys know I'm planning on building a van. And I plan on taking this van on the road and going, basically take it on the road and do all of my YouTubing from the van. That's my plan. I'm going to literally drive around the country and meet everybody. I want to literally do my show in front of everybody's house. And I actually think this is something that we could do. I think this would be a fun little project. And like in 1 year, I want to meet all my mods in 1 year or whatever. But anyway, just to give you guys an idea. Now, this picture I'm about to show you, the door's on the wrong side of the van. The AI has a hard time doing certain things. Showing cars from the right side happens to be one. I did get it to do a right-handed one. Let me see. I did get it to do it a couple times, but it would come and it would go. But anyway, here's what it looks like. Just understand that the door's on the wrong side. The door will actually be on the passenger side. But this is it. It's going to have a spot for 2 people to sit. It's going to be a full editing bay in there. It'll be everything I have here, basically, all set up in there, all hard mounted, and everything will be built into the consoles. So there won't even be anything you can readily steal. It's all going to be literally built into the equipment. It's going to have solar on the roof. It's going to have batteries in the back. It's going to have a weather station. It's going to have warning lights. It's going to be an amazing vehicle. I've already decided I'm going to put the red stripe down it. You're probably asking why a red stripe. Well, because on Enterprise, all the ships had a single red stripe down the side, including the shuttlecraft. And it kind of looks like a shuttlecraft with the white with the red stripe down the side. So that's where that comes from. I like the red on white. I think it looks really nice. And then the logo, and I'm going to have the @Starship Adventures on there with the YouTube logo on the back somewhere. But that's kind of what it's going to look like there. And let's see if I can get this to go to the next picture here. I think it'll do it. Yeah, this is all some different ones I did. You can see all the different, I had it do up a whole bunch of them. And then look at this. I had AI make this with about five lines of text. And this shows you basically what it's going to look like, how everything's going to be in there. And isn't that cool? I did this with AI, guys. You can do... There's my wiring diagram. Now, no, it's not perfect. It needs some tweaking. But look at that. It's got all my different power sources. I've got solar, shore power, all the different kinds of power sources, the charger in the vehicle, and the battery bank. It's all there. But this is, look at this, everything. It's even got the radios and the mixer board for the mics. But everything's here, and it's basically shows you how it's all going to be installed in the van. Yes, Merlin. I'm going to get to that. I was talking to several people just this week about taking this whole thing to the next step because there's a bunch of stuff I'm trying to do right now and I can't seem to get anything done. I've got merch I'm working on, and then after that, I got memberships that I'm working on. I will not charge money for a membership until I can have at least the value of that membership there. And I think if I can do one membership video a week, one membership only, 30-minute video, rant about something, talk about what we're doing with this thing, and then once a month have a Zoom meeting with just the people who are members, and everybody can come in and we can all talk in the same room. Eventually, I'll come by your house and we'll do a show, but that's later on. But I'm looking for things I can add to the membership thing to make it worth it. I want to build my own AI server, and eventually my members would actually have access to a host of AI tools that I wrote myself. So there's a lot of things I want to do like that. But yeah, the problem is I'm one person and I'm having a real hard time because I can't seem to get anything done. It's crazy. All right, anyway, let me just show you some more of this. And yes, I am working on that. This just kind of gives you some ideas of what it might look like inside. You can see under the bed, there's the bank of batteries and all the different supplies and everything under the bed. You would access those from the back doors. Also, the back doors would serve as my emergency exit if I'm sleeping. I can go forward or back. And there'll be an emergency handle inside that I can pull and open the back door. So that's all set. And in the front, you can see there, it's going to be built out with, it'll probably have between 6 and 9 monitors. And it'll be all built out. The mics will be built in. Everything will be set to go. When I pull up, I can just get out and go back there and turn everything on. And that's kind of the plan. These are all just, some of these are not even right, but I was trying to get it to make the pictures. I think this is cool because, look at this. I was doing dimensions as well. And it was actually doing pretty good, allowing me to show dimensions of where the equipment's going to be and how it's all going to work out. Look at this. I think that's pretty cool. I don't know what happened there. That's some kind of weird van. I don't know. But anyway, I just wanted to show you guys this is some of my dream. All right. Let's see. Let me go back to this. But anyway, yeah, that's something I've been working on. So just to give you an idea of some more things you can do with AI. Rifle racks. I may not. I probably will not even carry a gun with me. I don't know. I just, you could just. I'm going state to state to state to state to state. It gets real complicated. If I do, it'll be in a locked box in the back that will have a really easy combination that I can just get into it quickly if I need it. But it will be in a locked box, so it'll be legal in all 50 states. Yeah, I mean, I've put a lot of thought into it, like staying legal in all the states and making sure that I can go to different places and I'm not going to run into any trouble. I think it looks good. I can't wait. And by the way, I've already decided if the money gets good and I can do this, instead of rushing it, I'm going to buy the van. And then I'm going to pay a cabinet builder to build it. I'm literally going to pay a cabinet builder here in town. I've got 2 already that I think I'm going to, one or the other I'm going to use. And I'm going to have them build the cabinets and build them nice and formica them and everything, have it all done professionally. Then I'm going to take it over when I can afford it. I'll wait a couple months. I'll take it over and I'm going to have it professionally wired. I'm going to have all the plugs and power strips. I'm going to have all the 110 volt, 12 volt, all the lighting, all the mics, all the everything, inside, outside, the runs for the generators and everything, all of it is all going to be run professionally. And then and then I will install the equipment in it from there. And I'm going to build 2 of these super machines. I may use the ones I have. I've got 2 I could use right now, but I'm going to have 2 super machines in there, and that's it, just 2 computers. But they're both going to be these large machines, and they're going to be built in, and they're going to have forced ventilation coming through and everything to keep them cool. Hey, what is it? Is it Lontrosa? I can never tell if it's an L or an I. Welcome in, welcome. Yep, it's going to be good. I can't wait. I'm looking forward to being free. I've wanted my whole life to travel, and I've never been able to. I've always been tied down with a public safety job or a media job, or I've never made enough money that I could take 6 months off and go see the world. I've never done anything like that. I used to spend a couple weeks each summer with my parents. We would travel all over the Southeast in a big camper, but I just didn't, it was modest, but we did a lot of camping growing up. And then I've got a cabin up in Blairsville, so I've spent a lot of time up in the mountains. I do a lot of stuff there, but I really want to see the whole country. I want to go all out west. I want to see the desert. I want to see the Grand Canyon. I want to go to Vasquez Rocks in Agua Dulce near Burbank and see that. There's so many things I want to see. And the best way to do this is to do it off of YouTube and make my adventure your adventure. And then we will go adventure together. And I will do the work, and you will watch the ads to pay me the avenues so I can pay for the gas to keep going. That's kind of how I'm going to do it. I know it sounds terrible or weird, but whatever. That's how I'm going to do it. I'm not going to beg for supers or any of that. I'm going to get enough audience that I have enough viewership that I can live off the ad revenue. I'm already making some money on the ad revenue. And, once I get up to like the silver plaque range, it should be pretty good. It should be enough that I can almost quit my job and live on it. But I won't. I'll keep working that job till the last minute, because that's the money that pays all my other bills. And that way I can take all the money I make on YouTube and dump it back into the van again. This van, brand new, is about $54,000. It's not as much as you would think. Buying a stripped down version, you can buy a stripped down version of this van for about 50 grand. Yep, it's important to me. This is where I want to go. This is the whole idea. I eventually want to report on the sights and sounds of Earth from being out on the road. And by the time I go out in 3 years, because I'm thinking about 3 years maybe, by the time I hit the road and I start going, all this internet stuff will have gotten a lot better. I'll have a triple card where I've got 3 different SIM cards, and I'm using all 3 cell phone companies and the Starlink system, and they're all going to dump into one big box that will then go into my 2 computers. They've got some amazing systems now for broadcasters like this that are broadcasting out on the road from rough locations. And when I have a little bit of money, I can pay for this. The whole thing, the monthly cost for about $250. For about $250, I can have an unlimited high-speed card on all 3 cell phone networks and Starlink. So that's the direction I want to move in, so that when I pull up anywhere, I don't need your internet. I don't need internet. I can pull up anywhere in the world, as long as I can get some kind of internet. I can go live. You know, so it's going to be really cool. I'm also going to get things like eventually. I want to have a solar telescope. I want maybe a solar telescope, maybe some kind of refractor telescope that I can put a solar lens on, so that when I'm out, I want to broadcast solar events. That's another thing I want to do. If I'm out in the desert and there's a solar event going on, what a great place to film it from. You know what I mean? So I want to do some of that kind of stuff. I also, I'm going to have a camera eventually on top of the van that I can put up and move around, and it'll have a nice big telephoto lens on it. There's a lot of neat stuff I want to do so that I can bring you the sights and sounds of Earth. You know, I can be sitting there and I can have a camera outside and a camera up on my tower and a camera on me, and then I can still pull down feeds from other places, and it'll be really cool. Merlin. Uh, yeah, I'll probably get the regular full size one when I do. But you remember, I'm talking 2 or 3 years from now. Things are going to be drastically different in 3 years. Technology is now growing exponentially every 16 months, 14 months. AI is growing exponentially about every 6 or 7 months. Computers now growing about every 12 months exponentially. It's when you start looking at the curve on this stuff. By the time I go in 3 years, I'll be able to build an amazing system. One of the things I'm wanting to do is build an AI server, and I can't because all the parts that I need to build it have become massively expensive, because they're all being used to build AI. I don't know if you guys have looked. If you've got a $200 video card, it's probably worth $1,000 right now. You might want to check. I bought a used video card over here. I bought it used because it's like a $3,000 video card, and I bought it used off a guy on eBay that wanted another better card. This is a great card. It was worth about $300 or $400 on eBay. I bet you I could get $2,000 for it right now, and it's 3 or 4 years old. People don't care. You know why? You know why sound cards and video cards, and memory, video cards and memory. You know why? That's what AI runs on. It doesn't run on a core. It runs on your video card. AI runs on video cards. I know that's crazy, but that's why video cards have all gone up by 1,000% or more. It's crazy. All right, guys, I'm going to call it. Been on for 2 hours and 16 minutes. I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. Um, you want the? I'll just play the theme song tonight if you like that. I'm not sure what the other one is. I Love Sunshine on the World. I'm not sure which one that is. Yeah, I don't know. But I'll just play the regular one. I'm getting ready to head out. All right, everybody. Have a good night out there. My name's Ian, and this has been... there's that woman again. She always pops up. I don't know who she is or what she's selling. Anyway... All right, everybody, it's been fun tonight. My name's Ian. This is the Sights and Sounds of Earth. We'll see you back tomorrow night at 9 p.m. for another version of the Sights and Sounds of Earth. Maybe there'll be something going on tomorrow night. Tonight's the quietest night we've had in 3 weeks. But that's okay. All right, guys, we'll see you later. Have a good night out there. My name's Ian. This is Starship Adventures, the Sights and Sounds of Earth. We're on every night at 9 o'clock. We broadcast worldwide on YouTube, the largest broadcast platform in the world. I hope everybody has a great night out there, and it's safe tomorrow. 7-3s, everybody. Good night.
All right, everybody, have a good night out there. It's been my pleasure to be your host. This is Starship Adventures, and this does conclude our broadcast day. Good night, everybody. 7-3s. Have a safe tomorrow. Good night, America, and around the world. QSY, 7-3s. Clear frequency.